Good morning, Tuesday mornings, Tuesday morning and Tuesday morning mind shift, Tuesday morning transformation. Here's the question for today. What footprint are you leaving? What footprint are you leaving? We all leave an impression, a metaphorical footprint in the world. It's an energetic footprint, regardless of who you believe you are, how significant you think you are, how important you think your life is or the things you're doing. We all leave a footprint through generations, our family and our friends and neighbors and people we work with. And we're leaving this footprint and impression. Have you ever had somebody come up and say, years later, hey, you know what? Years ago, you told me this. And when you said that, it changed my life. I'm like, shoot, I don't even remember saying that. Because we are consciousness walking in a physical body and we're leaving an energetic footprint. So the question is, what path of footprints do you want to leave? We're leaving them. So what footprints do you want to leave? And then that leads to another question is, who do you want to be in a world that is changing so fast, when our identity and our belief systems of who we believe we are and why we're here can make world changes right now? Hey, Nick. Hey, Kelly. So really the question becomes, who am I? Because if we're going to leave a footprint, then what footprint are we going to leave? So who am I? So Genesis, it starts out right in Genesis 1. We're created in the likeness and image of God. What's that mean? We're a spiritual being. We are divinity incarnated. We are a unique emanation of God. What's an emanation? It's a radiation. So we radiate divinity. The question is, are we conscious of it? There's nothing wrong with you. You're born in perfection. We are given all the gifts that we need, hey, Lauren, to fulfill this soul purpose. We're already a perfect expression of God, just like the wave in the ocean is an expression of the ocean. The wave is just an expression of the ocean. When you step outside and we feel the brightness of the sunbeam and we feel the warmth of the sunbeam is an expression of the sun, just the way you are divine, an expression of God, walking in the physical world. The real question is, do you believe it? Hey, there's really only one way to know. I mean, there could be several ways with spiritual experiences, but are you going to wait till your anatomical eyes close when you pass to realize that your spiritual eyes were always open and that you are living consciousness inside this human body? Do you want to wait to that point, or do you want to discover that now? And hey, Aaron, and hey, Cameron, at a time when every individual, we can come together in unity and make a change in the world that's going on. So are your beliefs on who you are really getting you what you want? So Stedman Graham, world leader, otherwise known as Oprah's husband, I've said this quote before: if you don't define who you are, then the world will define who you are. And the world will define you always as less than whatever that point is, whatever that reference point is. The world will define you as less. So when you let something outside of you define what's inside of you, you'll always be less and powerless to what's outside of you. So what's that mean? Well, right now, what's the world creating? The world is creating fear, right? Wear a mask, get exposed. That the identity is we are less than this virus. And this virus, we are powerless to this virus. Right now, people are beginning to change their mind. But the world and what's going on in the world now is going to define us in fear. And that's it. Now, there's a reason why. Okay, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God hath not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So God we are made with power, the power of our divinity. We're made from love. We are love, and that influences our mind. But what happens when we have fear? Then we go into our amygdala, survival. We lose all frontal lobe activity, and there's no logic. There's no logic to why a person is wearing a mask right now. There's no logic to lockdown. There's no logic to social distancing. And this is just there's no logic to mandatory vaccination. There's nothing that's logical about it, but when we get entrapped in fear, then we can be controlled. So if fear disengages our frontal lobe, that's where God says, I give you a sound mind. You're made with power. You're made with love. You're made from the inside out. You are divine. I created you in the likeness and image of something that's so big that runs the whole universe, and a power that we can have because you're more powerful than you think, right? And that influences our mind, because when we live in fear, then we can be controlled. That's what's going on. If you put your identity outside, then we're going to be controlled. And what's that control through? Obviously, vaccination, social distancing, all these things that create separation when there's no logic to it. There's no scientific evidence. Actually, it breaks constitutional rights. And now that is becoming known. The general public is like, wait a minute, something's really messed up here. And so now what are we doing? We're taking back our power. But the problem is that we gave away our power. Some people gave away their power and now they want it back. When in reality, we should have never given it away, because we are divine first. We're of power and a sound mind. From the very beginning, we should have said, wait a second, all this is pretty drastic. This has never been done in history. Let me ask a question, because I have the power to be able to determine my whole life. So maybe this is a time when we don't let things outside define us. Maybe this is the biggest rise in consciousness, one of the biggest rises in consciousness and opportunities that we've ever been given to come back into ourselves and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to define things outside of me. And the people that do put their identity on the conditions outside, that's why suicide is on the rise. That's why domestic violence is on the rise. That's why alcoholism, drug addiction, all these things are going on in the home, because people have given away their power because they've lived in fear. They forgot who they were. They never knew that they were divinity first. They never knew that there's a power inside them that's bigger than anything outside, that we are going to get through this no matter what the financial situation looks like. I understand people are losing their business. I understand that people are dying, and there's different consciousness, different levels of consciousness everywhere. But are you succumbing to a lower consciousness, or are you rising above what's outside? And then what are you going to do about it? And then it comes to, once we have that consciousnness, then what am I going to do? So is this a time to decide who you really are? So I really got this this concept of what to do from Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. I mean, it's something that's in the You're More Powerful Than You Think book. And, this is a spiritual principle, and I took a couple principles from him. And so one of the things is, number one, here's one of the most important things to do. Number one, what number is that? Write the number one on there. Number one, surrender. What surrender means? Surrender doesn't mean quitting. It doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go. It means letting go. So we can let go of the conditions outside of us, right? We can let go of everything in the past. Now imagine if we took a metaphorical shower. You're standing under the shower. Hey, it worked out this morning, just got out of the shower. And it's washing away everything you knew about yourself from this second backwards. Because the problem is, everything you know keeps you in certainty, keeps you in safety, keeps you on the same track, keeps you on the same identity. And if we're going to let go and create ourselves on a higher level to be more powerful than you think, then in a sense, we almost have to let go of everything we know so that we can be open to letting go of all that and recreating ourselves on a new consciousness. And what's that going to feel like? What's it going to feel like when we let go and we surrender to one thing? Growth, no matter what. So we are going to grow in consciousness. We're going to grow this world toward a higher consciousness, no matter what. And that's like, wow, that's scary. That's responsible. Hey, that's what letting go is. This part of surrender. So what's it going to feel like? Number one, it's going to feel like an internal dissatisfaction. Why? Because there's things going on that just aren't right, that aren't in the benefit of humanity. It's not the benefit of unity. It's not in the benefit of love, and it's not in the benefit of self-power, unless you take power first. So what's that mean? that means you're tolerating something that you don't want to tolerate. Then the question becomes, what am I going to do? Well, maybe it's so big, I don't know what to do. That's the part of surrender. And then what do you feel? It feels like inspiration. Like, I don't want to tolerate this. We need to do something. Now, just for me personally, I'm a chiropractor, life coach, right? I've never been into politics. I don't watch politics. I don't even participate. And then there's things going on where we have to pay attention. And now if you go to Dr. Fred DiDomenico page on here, or You Are More Powerful, go to YouAreMorePowerful.com. We sent out a petition yesterday that's calling out domestic terrorism that goes to the White House. We need 100,000 signatures in less than 60 days. Hey, let's flood the White House with 1 million signatures. So go sign that. Go to You Are More Powerful. Share it. Spread it to everybody we know, because this can be a vehicle, okay? So if you're dissatisfied with conditions, then all of a sudden look for vehicles. I'm not into politics, but at some point, we have to make a difference. We have to stand up and do something, because we're more powerful than we think. So you're either going to feel a dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction turns into inspiration. Now I want to give you 4 steps. How many steps? Say number 4. 4 steps to surrendering. 1, have a vision. You know what? I have a vision that all these things in the CDC and the WHO and Fauci and all these things these governors are doing that have no scientific evidence, that are breaking constitutional rights, that people are going to stand up. We're going to Sacramento where there's going to be thousands and thousands of people there that will overwhelm the Capitol. And there's so many of these things going on that somebody's got to pay attention, right? So you have a vision. This is what we're going to do. This is what I see. I see righteousness coming back. I see things becoming right. I see humanity coming together, not in anger, but in love and unity to take back our rights. And then we really have a democracy where the government works for the people, where the government doesn't control the people, but the government works for the people. I see that. That's a vision. Now, what do you have to do? Step 2, just say yes. Yes, whatever my participation is and whatever my life purpose is, I'm going to say yes. And I have faith. So I have a vision for the world we want to create. You have no idea what to do. I'm just washing away everything that I've known so we can create something that's bigger and better that's ever been done before, because the world is calling for it, and now is the opportunity, and we just say yes. That's it. You don't have to know how on anything. Step 3, you got to be comfortable with total uncertainty. I have no freaking idea what the heck's going to happen, how we're going to do it. Doesn't really matter, because I'm open to divine guidance. And God, divinity, because I am divinity, connected with the universe, innately is going to come through me. And I know. I happened to be online the other night, Friday night, and I was watching a video on Dr. Batar, and he had a petition. I signed it. I went on there, signed it. Yeah, I feel good. Something small, not a big deal, right? And then I noticed, create a petition. I'm like, wow, what's that? And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we have a petition. Next thing you know, because that's divine guidance. Now, who knows what the next step's going to be? But when you sign it, you're taking action. You're moving forward. That you have an active role in making a difference in this world for humanity and unity. So be comfortable not knowing. Be open. Know that that you're being guided, because you are divinity in physical form. You are consciousness moving through this physical plane, and all things and your purpose is going to come through you, but you have to take that metaphorical shower, let go of everything you know, release all doubt, and just be open to the next step that you're being called to take. What's number 4? Love yourself. That's it. Hey, it's that easy. If I can just take that shower and just love myself, meaning, well, how am I going to love myself? Well, first of all, love overcomes fear. The fear, and this is how you overcome fear. Here's how you overcome. I don't know. What do I do? I'm not good enough. I'm not significant. I'm just small. How can I play a big part in this? You just let it go. All I got to do is say, I'm a divine being. Now, what can you do? Hey, go to You Are More Powerful for $27. You have meditations and affirmations, guided meditation on how you realize I am divinity, how to love yourself, how to let go of your past, how to empower yourself, how to find your soul purpose. And what's the probability that if you go through that, you get into higher consciousness, that you're going to be downloaded with gifts and talents and things that you have inside you have been dormant because maybe you haven't been in the most empowered mind, that God gives us the spirit of love and the spirit of power that gives us a sound mind, that all of a sudden, all these things appear in front of us. That's how you overcome it. You just meditate and you pray and you listen to, and it removes the fear of failure, because love and fear cannot exist at the same time. Whatever exists, the other one can't exist. The contrast is too great. Darkness cannot exist in light. That's it. So let's fill ourselves with light. Now, what's number 5? Okay, let's start over. What's number 1? Surrender, right? Have a vision. Just say yes. Be comfortable not knowing. Love yourself. And then 5 is practice. Now you have to put practice into daily rituals. What's that mean? Practice loving yourself, feeling divinity, having a relationship with God comes from prayer. It comes from meditation. Psalm 1, meditate day and night. In other words, pray day and night. Keep your roots planted in the river. That means keep the foundation of who you are connected to divinity, which is who you are, right? And stay connected to God. The fruit will bear in its season. So just because you do something today doesn't mean it may show up physically in the world right now, but it will bear in its season. Your leaves will not wither, and whatsoever you do shall prosper. So what do you have to do? You have to practice. You have to meditate day and night. You have to have gratitude, affirmations, incantations. What are you listening to? Get your daily rituals down, spirit, mind, body, morning and night, and stay immersed so you develop a relationship with God, a relationship and a connection with divinity that moves through you, that's who you are. And everything that's great in the whole universe and God moves through you, and you're connected. Then you take action. Then you'll receive guidance. Then you'll know what to do. Then you turn fear into inspiration. And then the next thing you do, you're making an impact and you're leaving footprints in the sands of time that make a difference in people's lives that are far greater than you ever imagined. But it's always been inside you because you're more powerful than you think. So this is also from Reverend Michael Beckwith. First, you believe you are divinity first. Then you practice. Belief leads to practice. Then practice leads to insight. You see with your third eye, right? You see with your vision, not your anatomical eye. Hey, we don't worry about our anatomical eye. We take that metaphorical shower. We wash that shit off every day. We wash that off because we're bigger. What's inside of us is bigger than anything that's outside of us. We have belief. Then we have practice. It leads to insight. What do we see with our mind's eye? That leads to embodiment. Then we have it in our body, because our body is a physical vehicle that we create on the physical plane. Once we have it in our body, then that's who we are. Then we feel it. Then we can act. We have inspiration. Then it leads to action. So we have belief, practice, insight, embodiment. Then it leads to action, because now that it's in our body moves and we do things. And action is the most dense energy, and action leads to a way of life. So belief into practice, into insight, into embodiment, into action leads to a way of life. Now the footprints that we leave in the sands of time make a difference. That's the difference between success and the difference between fulfillment. It's a difference between happiness and fulfillment. It's a difference between scarcity and fear and poverty, whether it's financial, spiritual, doesn't matter what it is, that leads to fulfillment and abundance, because we have internal joy and we're making an impact in people's lives. And that's it. You are here to express your divinity into your most fulfilling life that leads footprints, because then you can metaphorically look back, and then you'll find all kinds of footprints that are following you, because you are the light that you came into this world to be, that God created you to be. You just have removed the doubt. You are of sound mind. You are of love. You are of power. So go to youaremorepowerful.com, get the meditations. I mean, there's a number of things. We have a whole coaching system on there. Go to, and on You're More Powerful Than You Think page, go like You're More Powerful Than You Think page, because there's that petition. We're also coming out with a letter that shows all his constitutional rights that are being violated. It'll be on there. Just sign it. Just follow these things. We're going to provide the vehicle. Let's all come together. Let's take unity. Let's raise our consciousness of who we really are. And let's leave footprints that make a difference in the lives of more people. Okay, you guys. Love you. Thanks.